How you guys doing today? Today, I want to do a video on 4 things to understand about credit card interest rates. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from skip tracing to collecting to management, and I've owned 2 debt collection agencies. For the past 8 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit, and now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. Be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you guys for each and every one of you guys who have done that. With regards to that, we're growing this YouTube channel on our way to 1,000 subs. Don't forget, I am doing a 30-minute free consultation. The information's down in the link, as well as a free pay to delete, free Goodwill letter, and a free cease and desist letter. All that information's down below. There's some other things down below to check out in the description, so be sure to do that. Now, I want to talk about interest rates on credit cards. And the reason why is because even myself, a lot of times when I'm thinking of topics and so forth to talk about, I think about what it is that I wish I would have known when first applying for credit cards. And interest rates is one of those things, right, that you want to understand when you're applying for credit cards, right? A lot of times you see the interest rate on the side, you don't really understand it. If you leave a balance on your credit card, it sort of it matters. But there are 4 things to understand about credit card interest rates, and that I believe is very important, and I'm gonna share those things with you. The first thing that I want you guys to understand is that currently right now there are no legal limits on credit card interest rates, right? Across the board. The reality is we live in a capitalist society in America, and I love it, right? On some parts you love it, some parts some people don't like it, but I feel grateful to be here. But the reality is we as consumers sort of set the market. If it was up to credit card companies, just like anybody else with regards to capitalism and selling something, they would hike up the interest rates if they could. But because there are more than one credit card company out there and the interest rates stay in between a certain number range, it keeps everybody else having to try and compete with that, right? In all honesty, if I really thought about it, I'm pretty sure interest rates, if they could take them up to 98%, they would do so. But because the market right now, what people are willing to apply for with regards to credit cards, typically one of the things that everyone looks at is smaller interest rate. The 0 APR for the first year, trying to get your APR as down as much as possible, because as consumers now, we understand that the lower the interest rate on the credit card, the less interest you're going to pay on the credit card, right? When I think about it, even with used cars currently right now, because of what's going on, a lot of times I'm just like, I look at these prices for these cars and I'm just like, wow, they're inflated $5,000-$10,000 more than what they would normally be. And because us as consumers are willing to pay those prices, then the market is going to up the amount. Will those prices of cars go down? Who knows? It just depends on if they're selling cars. So one of the things you have to understand as a consumer is, obviously on an individual basis, yes, you do have power, but as a collective, you have way more power with regards to everything. But interest rates aren't regulated. I know with credit unions, the interest rates are typically capped at around 18%. As long as you don't have late payments. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's one of the reasons why I always recommend people open up accounts with credit unions, just because it's a lot different. And they're privately owned, but nevertheless, that's the number one reason. Number 2, if your interest rate goes up because of late payments, if you pay on time, your interest rate should drop back down. One of the things that even myself that I thought was, once I have that late payment and your interest rate jumps up, which in the small print it tells you if you have late payments, they're going to jump up your interest rate, that once that happens, you're locked there. And a lot of times what ends up happening is because you don't have the knowledge or information of understanding, you'll continue to allow your interest rate to go up. to stay at a high interest rate, even though you've made your payments and you've done what you're supposed to do after time. Let's face it, sometimes it could be something as small as you just forgetting to make the transaction. Obviously, setting up your credit cards on auto pay is always a good thing. To be honest with you, with my credit cards, I don't have them on auto pay. I pretty much use my credit cards like debit cards. I pay, I only spend what I have in the bank to pay it. But as far as the payment goes, you know, you got to definitely understand when your statement due date is, as well as your bill cycle and when your bills due, so that way you can make sure you make your payments on time, because once you get that late payment, the interest will go up on your credit card. But once you pay over time, it should go down. If you make 6 payments on time, be sure to have them reevaluate your interest rate, right, on your credit card. Understand that. So if you had a late payment and then all of a sudden in 6 months you've made your payments on time each month, contact your credit card company and have them reevaluate your credit card interest, and they should drop it back down. It's something about that 6-month time span that I always tell everyone. 6 months to raise your credit limit as well. But nevertheless, if you had a late payment, you're not stuck with that high interest rate over a course of time. If you make 6 payments on time, contact your credit card company and they should reevaluate your interest rate and bring it back down. Number 3, and understand this, credit card companies must notify you 45 days before raising your interest rate on your credit cards, right? So let's say you got a 0% APR on a credit card and you have a certain amount of time until that's done. Make sure you pay attention to that. Sometimes you may have an interest rate on a credit card at a certain percentage, and then they up the percentage on their credit cards across the board for everyone. They have 45 days to give you that information and to let you know. Now understand, when you have a late payment, then you forfeit that right of the 45 days, and they can raise your interest rate right at that time span. But understand, if you have a credit card and they do raise your interest rate and you've been making your payments on time with that credit card, then it's probably a wise thing to do to contact your bank and let them, or contact your credit card company and let them know, like, hey, you guys raised my interest rate and I didn't get a notice 45 days from that time span. But understand, if you've been late on your credit card, you forfeit that right with regards to, getting that 45-day notification. And then the 4th thing for you to understand, which is pretty cool, interest rates on your credit cards cannot change within that first year, typically, with regards to credit cards across the board. So if you got a credit card and you apply for it, and then 3 months down the road, you see the interest rate jumping up and you don't have a late payment, you might want to contact your credit card company and figure out what that is with regards to that, because that's a general rule. They can't do it within that first year. There is a company right now, I believe, don't quote me on this, I remember reading an article, I think it was Citigroup, they're getting sued for doing something along this line. But understand your rights with regards to credit cards in general. You are the consumer. They wouldn't make any money unless it was you as a consumer. And a lot of times with big companies, we as a consumer, when things happen, we just sort of kind of let them roll over us and you just accept it. I'm speaking from experience. I was that guy, but once you get educated, and that's why I do these videos, then you understand the difference of what companies can do to you and what they can't do to you. And when you know your rights, then you won't allow those types of things to happen to you. And that's why I do these videos. Now, again, if you're trying to build up your credit, you take yourself from the low end to the higher end. There's a free 30-minute consultation. Click the link, sign up for that. For those of you who are cleaning up your credit and you're on your journey and you don't necessarily need the help, I do have 3 free letters to help you out with that. They're down in the description. Be sure to click those and opt in for that. Now, if you have any questions about credit or debt, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Remember this, you deserve to be approved for the credit you want and need. Allow us to help you out with that. You be great.